morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elcon. Welcome to Pre-Market Info.
Gonna be an interesting show here today, Joel. Lots of dogs to talk about. Hewlett-Packard, maybe the biggest dog of them all. Not only do they report earnings and disappoint, which is always seems to be expected now, but they cite accounting irregularities in their autonomy acquisition from last year, and they're taking an impairment charge of $8.8 billion. We will also get earnings from Best Buy that just reported, and disappointed, of course. Then we got a couple that are okay usually. Heinz and Campbell's Soup, Urban Outfitters, and then Krispy Kreme reporting too. So we got lots of dogs on the show. What a day for Apple, though. Can this run continue? Up 7% yesterday. Wow. Let's start with Hewlett-Packard.
Okay, well, this stock is trading basically at 10-year lows here. Looking at the pre-market activity, just making new lows as we speak. We have an 1165 low. That doesn't look like that's going to hold up. Going to the monthlies, Dennis, you got to go back a long, long ways, and you got to find a low back in July of 2002 at 1075.
I mean, this stock finds new ways to disappoint us all the time. So the earnings, let's go to the earnings first. They did beat, actually, $1.16 versus $1.14, but they lowered guidance. See 68 cents to 71 cents from 85. That probably would have been enough to knock the stock down. But no, they've got to have an impairment charge of $8.8 billion because they overpay for autonomy. They're citing they acquired autonomy back in August of last year, or August of 2011. They paid $10.3 billion for the company. Now they're saying that there was accounting fraud going on at autonomy when they acquired them, and they basically overpaid by the company by $5.3 billion. But they're taking an impairment charge of $8.8 billion, so the math isn't adding up anyways. But just a joke. I mean, so many problems at Hewlett-Packard. You just keep finding more and more as they dig deeper and deeper and deeper. Here it is. Stock is down another 12% here today. There's just no relief for shareholders here whatsoever. I am so glad that I ate my losses and sold my stock back in September. I had this in my investment portfolio. I was averaging around $25. When it got down to like 17, it rallied up to this 18 right in this area. I decided that I don't like the business model anymore. I think PCs are in big trouble. We've been saying that on the show for quite some time with the mobile devices basically eating all of their lunch. And obviously, I guess that was a good sale here because the stock is now down at $11.68.
They're still paying a dividend, correct?
They're still paying a dividend. For how long, though?
That's just what I was going to say, man. That shoe's going to drop pretty soon. They're going to drop that dividend. And then whatever value players you had there in the stock will hit the exits as well.
I mean, eventually, they still are selling some PCs. They still do make money. They still do make money. I don't think this one's going to zero, but they have problems all over the place. I don't know where the bottom is. It could be at $11. It could be at $5. Who knows where the bottom is? I think you just got to let this stuff keep washing out. But holding this thing into an earnings report has been a disaster every single time, and they find new ways to disappoint us there today.
And 7 million shares have traded. So
this is serious.
This is a move. This is a move.
This is serious. This isn't just getting overdone. No, this is serious. This probably will get more overdone. I wouldn't be surprised if the stock moved even lower here. I mean, lots of bad news here. Eventually we'll find a bottom, but who the hell knows where that is? Talking about dogs, let's move on. Another dog, Best Buy, has been the best sell. Joel, I give you props here again. You obviously wrote that article. We talked about that actually yesterday on Seeking Alpha. 3 months ago, everybody gave you heat when you said that the stock was a sell back at $21. The stock is now $13. Good call on your part there. $13.20. They reported earnings here this morning. 3 cents versus estimates of 12 cents. So they meet, of course, or they beat, of course. They miss, of course. Same store sales down 4.3%. Just a mess at Best Buy.
You have very few reference points in this stock. You look at the pre-market activity. We did spike down to 13.10 on that initial news. Getting a little bit of recovery here, not much. Probably just use that $13 handle as support. Looking at the low from 2 days ago, you had a low at 1352. That will act as resistance up to all the way to 1370, which was yesterday's low. Looking at the monthlies, I mean, this is just ugly, ugly, ugly. You had a low of 1092 back in October of 2002, but doesn't look like we're going to get that low. I'd use kind of the half and whole numbers, Dennis, when it gets like this. Use the 13 even, 1250 level. I mean,
Yeah.
there's really no reference points down here.
Yeah, we're about 10-year lows on Hewlett Packard and Best Buy, and if you stop and you just look at the business models of both of these companies, obviously they're both broken. So until these companies can find a way to reinvent themselves, I just think you can't own them. I don't even know if you can make trades on these things. Like, obviously there's always tradable bounces, but so difficult when there's so much fundamental news going wrong on both of these companies to try to find bottoms. I mean, Hewlett Packard just dropped another 10 cents since we've been on the show. So, in the last 2 minutes. It's crazy. Here's one though. Typical dog, but they actually beat Krispy Kreme. Donuts actually reporting a good quarter. They beat the estimates 12 cents against estimates of 8 cents. Stock is trading up at 8.45 right now in the pre-market. It's on light volume this morning, but it was on pretty heavy volume there up last night. It traded over 8 for quite some time. I do look at these multiple highs in this 820, 830 area, and we are trading above there right now. Can Krispy Kreme continue to rally here this morning?
Well, maybe they're. I mean, it wouldn't be reflected in this earnings, but maybe they're going to get a little boost from Twinkies and Ding Dongs going out of business. But
well, now they're saying they're going to save the Twinkies, so maybe that's not going to boost them.
Well, obviously we missed the memo 2 days ago when this thing got to 677 and 685, made a double bottom. Just had two really strong days ahead of earnings, and then lo and behold, they announced good earnings. That makes you a little suspect. I do see the high here at 817 and 819. We are trading above that in the pre-market. Like you said, not a ton of volume. If you're playing this from the long side, it breaks below that 820 area. There is not a lot in this stock to support it. I mean, this is a big move, a percentage move on this thing over the last 2 days is huge. I wouldn't be surprised to see some profit taking.
Couple other ones reported last night was Urban Outfitters. It was trading down to 40 cents against estimates of 41, so they missed by a penny. Joel, where did that get down to last night? You got that after hours low there?
Yeah, wow, they really got overdone in that spike. They took it down to $33.
Come on, did they really?
Yep, right after the close, and after that,
Yeah.
it just got an immediate spike. Since that spike up, you've ran into resistance at 36.70. That's currently where we're trading. Looking at yesterday's range, you had a pretty big range in the stock yesterday. You got to imagine if it gets anywhere near that 37 and a quarter level, I'd say major resistance would move down to 37. Coming back on, looking for support in this thing. Obviously, that $33 level is not going to get hit, but there's really not much down to yesterday's low at 35 and a half. And just also to point out to our listeners, Dennis sure looks like it's tried to fill this gap that it had back in August.
Yeah, if you look back here, the stock had this huge gap up day. So when we start to get into that area, obviously, if we started to break down below 34, 38, it would get ugly. But, the stock broke down, obviously, after hours and has come back up. So it's not as bad as everybody thinks here. And wouldn't be surprised if the stock held up a little bit better than it did last night. Heinz and Campbell Soup both reported earnings. HNZ reported they beat by a couple cents, 90 versus 88. I do have a trading position on in there for full disclosure. Stock trading down here $1 though. So, and then you look at Campbell Soup and they beat 88 versus 85, and they're actually bid up here and trading up on this news report. They're trading up $1 right now. So interesting that both these two companies, but they both beat by basically a couple of cents, but one's trading up $1 and one's trading down $1. Very similar business models as well, so that's interesting.
Wow, that Heinz is just at a steady climb here. The stock, after bottoming at $30.09, is basically doubled here. Hit a new 52-week high, an all-time high. It's coming off a little bit. Only 5,000 shares have traded in the pre-market. You have to look at this double bottom here at 57.25 and 57.29. I would look at that as major support in this stock. Probably also find some buyers at 57. The initial spike, I don't know, someone got a little bit carried away here. They took it out to 59.50, but that doesn't look like that's going to be on the radar. You just have to keep a look at the all-time high, 58.86, as if it does go into rally mode.
And then Campbell's Soup again. It's just surprised that one could be up, one could be down. I do have a trading position on in Campbell's too. It's offered at 37.99 right now, but similar chart. Been kind of marching up into the earnings. They beat by 3 cents, 88 versus 85. So looking good for the Campbell shareholders' longs here, at least right now.
Right. Looking at the pre-market for the Campbell's Soup here, you did get a spike on that news. What am I kidding?
Right there. It's trading right now at 37.99, right near the high. 38.02 is the high.
Yeah, I mean, what, 1,800 shares have traded here, so yeah. But also, if you go back in quite a ways here in the stock, you did have some major resistance back in August and September at the 37.60 level. So if this rally starts to fade and you drop below that 37.60 level, I'd expect to move back into perhaps yesterday's range. Yesterday's high was 37.16. That will be your support.
There's definitely some buyer there because somebody keeps offering stock here, just as we've been talking about, at $37.99. Every time they offer it, somebody buys it. 3 times I watched somebody offer $37.99, and within seconds, 3 times each offer got scooped up. So somebody is trying to buy the stock at $37.99. When that guy goes away, who knows where this thing goes? But somebody's scooping up stock right now, buck higher. GMCR, new CEO for the company. Stock trading up $2 on this thing. So here's another one. Looks like they got the memo there yesterday morning because the stock took off $2 yesterday. It's up another $2 this morning.
Yep, trading right at the high of the pre-market session. 29.40 has been the high. Really, you see a little bit of resistance just under the $30 level. But if this thing can keep going, I do see a top here at 31.46. That's still another $2 away. But this thing is, come off the bottom here, and it seems like when it gets this 1 or 2 day rallies, it seems to fade. This is the second day of a pretty big rally, so probably a nice round number like 30 may put the top in it today.
And sometimes they like to take them through those big hole numbers, trigger some stops, and then bring them back through the numbers. So sometimes the better play isn't always to just pick your top as it's coming up, wait for it to top out, and then come back through a key number like that. Sometimes it's a little bit safer way to play them. Sometimes that's the way I like to play them as well. Let's move on from all these dogs and all these other earnings to Apple, because wow, what a day for Apple. We thought the bottom might be in there when it made that V bottom back at 506 or 505 and change. What a day. Up another 30 some odd points, 37 points or something yesterday. It's pulling back 50 cents here this morning, but this stock has rallied 60 points in basically a trading session and a half.
Yeah, but even if you still look at the chart, I mean, it had a 200-point sell-off. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's starting to take some of it back. In the pre-market, you did get up to 568.40. Yesterday's high was 567.50. So keep an eye. Let's just call it that 568 level. That would be resistance. Above that, I really don't see anything until 574.54. That's the 9-day high. Coming back on the downside, boy, if you're long this thing and this thing starts to go into reverse, 557.70, kind of pulled that one out of a hat. That would be my swing number in the stock today. If we get below 557.70, there's really nothing in here. I mean, I don't want to say for 20 points down to Monday's low, but you have these vacuums in the stocks. When they go up, they certainly can come back down through that area just as quickly.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see these types of pullbacks, though, and the main reason being is that we have been pretty much straight up since the 506. A little bit of consolidation in the afternoon between 5:30 and 5:20, but we gapped and go, so we call it a gap and go, when we gap up 539 at the open there and just kept running all day. So if you were shorting that open thinking this is going to fade, you had no chance to get out. The stock was at 550 and about 15 minutes, and then just kept marching from there. I think you've got some people that were bearish this stock, some shorts seriously underwater here. Obviously, that's one stock I would not want to be short right now is Apple. I think you could, I don't know if you're going to see it go up another 20 points here today, but I wouldn't be surprised if it starts showing some good relative strength here again. Maybe eventually we do get a day of or two of consolidation here, but I don't think this stock's coming back to 550, 540 anytime soon. The momentum has totally switched. Sentiment has totally switched. Every analyst getting on CNBC, everybody's all, as much as they hated it a couple of days ago, people were giving it the hate. They are loving it now, and I think the momentum's going to continue.
Yeah, I heard another interesting term from a couple of the guys on CNBC. It was a new buy. You know what kind of buy it is?
What kind?
A generational buy.
Generational buy. Well, maybe that is the top when they start throwing out terms like this, but wow, just incredible move though for Apple for 2 days on basically no news. So this was a technical move and basically just an oversold condition, and it is now in full-on rally mode. So good for you Apple longs out there. If you're buying it here, you're finally being rewarded a bit. Let's talk.
I'm a little surprised you covered that short put.
The puts
yesterday.
I did when it got up here. Now it rallied another 30 points. I did cover in my puts. I still have my long stock though. I bought stock at 540. And I'm going to hold on to that. I did write puts as well when it got down, and I've actually now those puts have rallied 35 points or something. It was a year. I wrote the January 14s. They basically rallied 35 points here in the last day and a half, and I'm like, man, this just seems overdone. I don't know. I probably should have held on to the puts. I'm holding the long stock though, so I basically was long Apple in two ways. I was short puts and long the stock flat out. I'm definitely holding the long stock flat out. That is an investment. The puts was in my swing trading portfolio. I probably should have put it in my investment portfolio, and I probably wouldn't have covered out of them. But I'm hoping to get a better chance to get a little bit better price. I just feel like, man, 60-point rally and such a rally in those puts. I just feel like you got to take some off the table. So I did lighten my Apple yesterday, but I still think it could go higher. Overall market thoughts here. Obviously, we had that heck of a rally yesterday on the overall market, which was driven by Apple. We are coming up into resistance, though, Joel. In the 1380s, we have found resistance before. 1388 was a high back in earlier November, and then just like a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, 1386 and a quarter. So I do see multiple highs up here in these higher 1380s.
You're doing good, Dennis. You're doing good on that technical analysis. Yeah, you're right. Even closer to the belt than that, you had yesterday's high at 1384.75. We've only gotten up to 1384 and a quarter in the pre-market. So I think things are really going to thicken up here between 1384, let's say, to 86. You also have that other high there at 1388. So over a 40-point rally here since the Spoos hit 1340 on Friday. Coming into the holiday, too, you may see a little bit of profit taking, but I don't think the next 40 points in the Spoos are going to be quite as easy as the last 40 points.
No, I don't think so either. We're definitely coming into some resistance areas. Well, that's our show for today, folks. Have a great trading day, and we'll talk with you guys tomorrow.